What a fucking ass whooping. My God. That was an ass whooping and a half. I thought they started off the game pretty strong, you know, but something weird happened. Like, I don't know what the hell happened. Like, they went on a run, and I just felt like the Warriors just let it go.
Well, it kind
And
of all started with a bad game plan, right? Just
yeah, like you
leaving
can't.
Jalen Brown open for no apparent reason whatsoever, and he got hot.
E-
Like,
yeah.
wow, who could have saw that coming? Like, you leave any
Yeah.
NBA guy red hot all the way open like that? Come on now.
Yeah, that was a bad game plan. I don't like how they did because here's the thing. 2 years ago in the finals, they weren't just leaving them open like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you can't just, bro. That look at what
But
they're shooting
Urkel,
from three.
why do you think that they went with that game plan? Why do you think?
I don't know. It's disrespectful. Like
Okay,
these
okay.
guys
Here's what
sound.
I think. Here's what I think. This is gonna sound really weird, but okay. Look at the Celtics roster, right? Yes, they don't have Porzingis today, but you got to give up something because this
Hear
Celtics
me
team
out.
is just
No, 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 no,
historically
no,
good.
no, no,
That's what
no.
they're no.
They
That's what
are.
they're thinking. That's what they're
They
thinking.
are.
I'm
They are
telling you, that's what they're
shooting.
thinking.
They are shooting 40. They're shooting 38% from three as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's happening for a reason.
Yes,
You
I said that.
you
That which doesn't make
you
any
don't just
sense, but
leave
that's
them
what they
open
were
like
thinking.
that. And Jalen Brown is not a clown. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, let me test you. Let me see. Right. And I think that's what Draymond did, and it was just like pie on his face. Here's the other thing too. You see, against this team, you need as many perimeter player wing guys as humanly possible. And I think a part of where the game plan got fucked up is that, you know, when you give the ball to Kaminga on the block, right? And I've been saying this over and over again, you have to have multiple threats. His game has to have multiple threats. So you see, when you say, I'm just going to throw the ball to you and I'm just going to give it to you and you go and get a bucket, that doesn't work. That's not championship basketball. I don't care what anyone wants to say. It's not championship basketball. And then when he when you have like-sized guys on Kaminga, that's going to give him something. If he cannot take what they're going to give him, guess what? It's just going to end up in silly basketball. That's not how we play. This is why this is, and on top of it, Steph was off as well. You know what I'm saying? So if they don't have
To
the
be
point
honest,
of
he shouldn't
attack
have even
stuff,
played. He really shouldn't have
yeah,
even played today.
yeah. I didn't want Steph out there. I didn't want Steph out there at all. Right? Like once I saw how he started off the game, and I was looking at him running around, I'm like, you know, like simple ball pressure, like fucked him up. You know what I'm saying? Easy,
All I
simple ball
as
pressure.
soon as I saw what he was diagnosed with, like left knee bursitis, like I'm like, why are you even playing? Like, dude, just sit
Yeah,
this one out, man. Why are
yeah.
you
This is
even doing
kind of one
this?
of them. On the road trip, we were like three, we won 3 games in a row on the road, right? So this one, when I heard like the right knee thing, I was like, that's probably one that you should just sit out and just have a few days rest. Ice that shit on the way home. You know what I'm saying? So the damn Celtics came out, and when people were like, "Oh, we got their number," this, that, and the other, I'm like, bro, like,
This is what happens when the fan base gets too greedy, man. When
yeah,
you get
yeah, yeah.
greedy, this is the shit that you deserve.
Nah, I'm not gonna say all that, but it's like they're a really, really good team right now. But
And
they're
and
No, they
based
are.
also
on,
That's undeniable.
yeah, they're based on variance and all of that stuff. And you saw how many threes they made. I think they made like 15 threes in that
But
first half.
you saw the
If
graphic
they're
that
going to make
ESPN put up.
15 threes, if they're going to make 15 threes and a half, like again, pack the bus and go home. You know what I'm saying? Like in a
and
half, that's
also
crazy.
you could tell that they wanted like this game because you just saw how they started and stuff like that. Because we did beat them early in the season, remember? So it was kind of like they really wanted to beat up the Warriors. Like you just saw it,
Yeah.
To be fair,
So
the Warriors were one of the teams that did beat them this year, ever so rarely. They only have like 12 losses, right? And
right?
one of those losses were against the Warriors, so I'll take that.
yeah, so I'm just kind of looking at that, and I'm like, yeah, like that was just an old fashioned ass whooping, right?
You overreacting, Urkel?
No, not at all. I mean,
Why is anybody overreacting? Is what
No,
I
I'm just
want to
asking a
know.
question. I'm not saying you should. I'm just asking.
no, 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 no. Do you hear
No,
overreaction in my voice?
No, I'm just asking. You know what I mean? Like, do you think this is a game where it's like, oh, because I was just in Dre's thing, and it was just basically like the season is over.
The
It's
season is
like
oh my
over. Are you
goodness,
fucking
the
kidding me?
season is over. So
that's what
there's
they say,
22
not
games
me.
left. There's 22 games left, and none of those games matter now. The season is just over.
Hey, Urkel, Urkel, can I say
Go
something?
ahead.
Um, just like what you said, I watched. First of all, I watched the whole game. Obviously we all know the game was over before the end of the second quarter.
Yeah.
I'm not worried one bit about this game. Do I still think that we are a great team? Yes. Do I still think if we were in a 7 game series against the Celtics, we could, if not take them to 7 games, win the series? A matter of fact, I still personally think with Wiggins and everybody there and healthy,
Well,
I
first of
think we
all,
still beat
you
that team
you
in the
mentioned the
series.
Wiggins thing, but did you see like especially earlier in the game how much they were overhelping? There was a ton of overhelp, man.
Yes,
Right?
yes, bro.
So how
They were over helping. It looked like they didn't want to. Draymond again was sagging off of Jalen Brown so much. Like that was a disrespect thing. Clearly, we all
yeah.
saw that. That wasn't a. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, they weren't even locked in on defense. I'm gonna be so real. This was just like, fourth game of a road trip. That's not an excuse. Like you should not put up that piss poor of a defensive performance. But at the end of the day, when this team is locked in against this team, I still believe we can go up against the best of anybody. And this game did not shake my confidence in this
I,
team one
I agree
bit.
with you on that, and also, like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
They were due for a stinker game. They've been playing so well as of late. Obviously, they were due for a stinker. It happens.
Yeah.
Actual
But
things happen
Draymond
every now and then.
but Draymond can't set the tone like that. Like you can't just give up three straight wide open threes, especially after the dude just made his third straight three.
Yeah,
Like you have to show some type of resistance.
it's gonna be
But it is
very
what it is.
interesting to hear what Draymond's gonna say after. I'm gonna be very interested to hear his take on what he did tonight.
I feel like part of that was the game plan to start, but they didn't switch off it
I feel like it
fast
was the
enough.
game plan,
But
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 like
okay, what I'm asking,
hold on, hold
who
on, hold on, hold on.
who does
Hold on. I feel like that was a part of the game plan. Sure, that's fair, but you know, um, it was a bad game plan because one, they're at home. Two, we're shorthanded, and just play them straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, why the clownery? You know what I'm saying? The clownery is what pissed me off. Like, at some point, you have to decide that, how you're gonna play him. Like after he makes like those first two, you might want to get out there. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you know, uh, then we started to miss shots because we were pretty much in it. And then next thing you know, Steve Kerr goes to the robot substitutions, and then that's all she wrote. You know what I'm saying? So that was a it. It's like everything went bad at the first time. And I'm going to be honest with you, they probably should have just sat Steph today. Like this is not the time
100%?
to this is if he has a knee thing going on, and then you see how he looked and all of that stuff. It's like maybe he should have just sat this one out.
Bro, Steph and knee issues do not go well together. I don't think I have to remind this fan base how that last time it went, man.
I saw
But
on Twitter that the staff really didn't want him to play. They rather him sit out, but Steph gave him the thumbs up. So it was really Steph's decision.
Well, and that's what made the Toronto win so important because they could have easily laid down that game and lost with all the excuses that they could have made. But I mean, that was a huge win just because fourth day in the road trip, this was going to be an uphill battle no matter who we had playing.
Yeah, and I looked at this, and it's almost like I was so happy when they won that Toronto game, and then on top of it, when when I heard what happened with Steph, I almost had the feeling where I was like, maybe they should just sit him out. Maybe they should just not play him. I was more so leaning. I want him to play because I want to see this game or whatever. But then there's like the responsible side of me that kicks in, and I'm like, this game is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? So the Lakers lost last night. Those bums. The Suns lost last night, and the Suns are on a back to back, right? So these are
And
all
Dallas
teams that
lost.
we're vying for that one spot, right? So all of that we kind of need to just keep in perspective, right? So, Lakers are one back in the loss column. Dallas is like a game and a half
Yep.
because they lost today. So it's not over by any stretch of imagination. You know what I'm saying? Like these are things that we're gonna go into and go forward. But all in all, if you told me that we won 3 or 4 games on a road trip, I would say that's a great result. That Toronto game, they had every excuse to lay down, and 3 games in 4 nights, shit happens. But the Celtics played this one like we beat their asses 2 years ago. And again, 3 games in 4 nights, and we got our asses beat. You know what I'm saying? So they really, really poured it on. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this one thing though: doing a Mexican wave in March is never a good thing. Did you see that bullshit?
I saw that.
Doing a Mexican wave, an Azteca Stadium Mexican wave in the middle of March is not the greatest thing in the world. Not a
Urkel,
great look.
Urkel, I have a question for you. Where do you see this team like now? Do you think that we can make the conference finals? Like what? Like where's our ceiling right now after today?
I still think we can win the championship. Why does one regular season? Why are people making bro? It's almost like nobody heard what I just said. We just played 3 games in 4 nights. Steph has a knee situation, right, which he probably shouldn't have played.
No
Um,
Wigs either. No Andrew Wiggins either.
no Andrew Wiggins, right? And you saw all the overhelping in the world happen today, right? Um, and it's almost like you saw all of these bad things just domino all all at one time. It's like if you're making broad stroke or broad brush statements on one regular season game, you are not built for this basketball thing and you're not built for this fandom. I'm going to be honest with you because sometimes this shit happens. You know what I'm saying? So
You're
if
right.
if you're here making like, "Oh, the season is over," you're not built for this. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't handle this. And the game to game reaction shit is crazy. Now, Boston came out like this was the finals and kudos to them. They won the game. They're a hell of a team right now and they beat our asses, right? So that's good, but I just know what's going to happen in different circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So, the playoffs is a whole different game. So, I mean, kudos to them. They've been
Stop it,
a great
Urkel. You don't
team,
know what's gonna happen. Different circumstances. This is a different team, man.
different team, but
Porzingis
same
and
team.
Drew. Porzingis and Drew, they changed things up, and we didn't even have Porzingis today.
All right, brother.
Hey,
I hear you.
so
No, but I agree with
come
you,
on,
Urkel. I
man.
believe this team could like win the championship. I'm not gonna overreact. I agree with
There's
you.
not a listen. Boston is a good team, but there's not a team out there that I see that we couldn't beat in a 7 game series. Not one of them.
Irk,
I
Not one.
agree. I agree.
But
Irk, can I
Urkel,
say
you
something?
see what happened today? How can they stop our players, man? And this is
No, they
without
they they they
KP.
they they can. It's impossible. Just give them the chip. Like, okay, okay, Keith, you got it,
Come
man.
on,
You got
Shadow.
it. No,
Don't
just
do
Keith,
give
this.
them the chip. How can they
Keith,
stop their players?
Keith,
Okay, cool.
Keith,
Now,
Keith,
Urkel,
you were talking like this. You were
in
talking like this
2022,
last
bro, like
season.
I
You
remember.
were
But
talking like
anyways,
this.
Urkel,
Hold on. Keith and Aaron was talking like this last season. Start the playoffs now. The regular season is boring, and the next thing you know, you were down 0-3 to a team. You were down 0-3 to a team that had to win two playing games to make it to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, but what about
I don't want to hear
Milwaukee?
none of
Didn't they
that,
lose?
bro.
Steve,
Didn't
you was
Milwaukee
talking
lose
like
to
that last
Miami?
season.
No. Didn't Milwaukee lose to Miami, Urkel?
Why you bringing up
What about the
Miami?
Knicks?
Why you
no,
bringing
no,
up
no. But
No,
you
because
were
you
Milwaukee?
just
you
brought
you
I'm
are
them
talking
up. You
about
always
said we were
y'all.
down 0-3 to them. You brought them up. I
okay.
didn't.
I'm talking about y'all.
Keith. This is a Warrior space, man. Let's
Yeah.
let's
No.
let's let's
Okay.
talk about the
Go
the issue
ahead.
at hand, Urkel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it's a talent gap. I think it was an effort gap. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we have issues on the POA. Number three, if you look at the free throw differential, they shot like 16 or 17 and made 16 or 17 more threes.
You mean 3 point?
3 pointers. 17 more, I believe. Okay. The number one 3-point make team in the league is Boston Celtics with 16 a game. Number two is Golden State with 15 a game. Now, if you get outshot by 16 or 17 threes, do the math, bro. That's the game. It's nothing to talk about.
No, I even said this
I don't know
before the
why we're
game,
getting
bro.
so hyper focused on this option and that and this, bro. It was an effort. It was
Shadow,
effort.
I even said this before the game. I was like, listen, if if they just have one of those nights where they just shoot your face off, that's going to be the game. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen them do it a bunch of times this year where they just get hot from three. Bro,
Wait,
they took
but isn't that admitting that there's a talent gap when you say that?
there was a talent gap 2 years ago,
I
right?
agree, but we overcame it. Why? Because defense.
Yeah, so we're playing better defensively.
And oh, no, I agree with that. I think we're a good team still. I think we
Yeah.
can still. I still think we're a good team. But are we on the tier of like a Boston or Denver right now? I don't think so. I don't think I can say that. Not yet. Not right now.
No,
We got we
and
got
Dre,
more
that's
ground to cover.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
okay.
Dre, that's okay. Because in March of 2022, we lost 5 of 11 games. March 28th specifically, I remember we came in here and everybody was ranting and raving how we need bigs, how we suck, how we're garbage. We lost by 35 points to Memphis. And it was the same thing. And we ended up winning the chip. Like
And
Yeah.
you
we
lost.
have
And you lost by
issues to work
18
out, but
against the
that's why we have a
Celtics.
coach who makes
I
17 and a
agree.
half
I
million
agree.
dollars. He has to figure it out.
I think we have 20 games left to figure these some of these flaws out. And if Steve Kerr comes out into the podium, I'll tell you this. This is where I send the red flag and sound the alarm. If Steve says we flushed this game down the toilet, we're not winning shit. He needs to study what the
He
fuck
he
went wrong.
already
He needs
he
to study what
Agreed.
went wrong
he,
from
Hold
start.
up.
hello.
No one played after
He already
halftime. I
said that.
think he flushed it.
No,
I
no, no,
think
no,
he
no.
flushed it
I'm
down
talking
the
about the
toilet.
first half. First half. I'm
Oh
talking about, not the second half. Second half is fine, but first half you cannot
no,
flush
no,
that
no.
down.
I don't think he flushed anything.
Yeah,
I just think like
you can't flush the first half, bro. That first
no,
half
you
had
can't
a
flush it.
lot
I
of
think
issues.
what happened in the first half is like uh it was bad defensive strategy. We missed a
Yeah.
couple of shots, and then next thing you know, the floodgates open. You know what I'm
I
saying? And next
agree.
thing you
No, I
know,
agree.
right?
I agree with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then there were some also issues too, like when because Boston was clamping us in the half court,
Yeah.
and then Steph was missing shots. What happened when Steph missed shots? Who was the guy we went to? A 21-year-old. Like this is the problem, right? And so JK, and I don't blame him because he's 21. What do you want him to do? He's trying to do what he's been doing all year, which is
No, it's
bully
not the
ball.
fact that he's 21. I mean, it's not an
It
age
is.
thing.
It
No,
is.
no, 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 no.
It
It's not
is.
an age thing. Me personally, I don't think it's an age thing. It is a gap in a skill set. That's all it is.
But
Because
isn't
you've
that what
had
age is? As you get older,
no,
you
no,
get
no, no,
better.
no, 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 no. Kobe Bryant was winning a championship at 21. You know what I'm saying?
He
So
had Shaq by his side.
no, no, no. Kobe Bryant had no weaknesses in his game at 21. Kaminga has weaknesses in his game, right? So when they're giving him
Sure.
certain things, right? And he's trying to get to the thing that he wants to get to, that is a weakness in your
Because
game, and
he's
they took
young.
that thing away. Yeah, no,
You
no.
get
It's
better.
Dre again, he's been on a team for 3 years. This is not a age thing. When you like this is what I've been talking about with him. Sure, like he's 21 and all of that stuff, but this isn't an age thing with him. This is a skill set thing. This is a skill set slash it's a skill set thing because if he's not if he's not a much better athlete than the other player and he doesn't
Yeah, your skill set gets better with age. Kawhi Leonard at 21 is not better than Kawhi Leonard at 25, 26. He got way better. He got better. His skill set improved.
yeah.
But it's age because the reason I say it's age is because he hasn't developed all those counters that you're saying, which you're right. He doesn't have those counters. The skill
Jason
set gap.
Tatum at 21, right? Jason
Yeah,
Tatum at 21 was doing way much more in terms of counters and all of that stuff.
sure.
So it just depends on
True. The
what
floor, the
level your
floor.
game is at and what skill set
Yeah,
you are.
and
Like
also
so
how much opportunity you have.
well,
Like,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
he like so he was not in I don't want to blame the age thing, bro, because I've seen some excellent 21-year-olds that have been drafted from high school and all of this, and by year three or 1 year in college, and then by year two, year three, they're up and running. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what they're exposed to, in essence, right?
yo, I
So
predicted it. I predicted Steve. I predicted it. I predicted it. I
he
said
said
he'd
what?
say flush it. He said literally quote unquote flush this loss down the toilet. I hope he means the second half because that first half, there's a lot to learn from that. And I don't think just throwing that away, that first half exposed a lot of our flaws. We need to figure out in the half court how to score against these bigger teams like Boston and Denver because they have positional size on us, right? And Porzingis didn't even play. Wiggins didn't play for us too. I wish both guys were healthy. I would have loved to see Wiggs on point of attack, and I would have loved to see Porzingis dragging him out at the paint and see what that would have looked like. I wish both were healthy. It kind of fucked up the matchup a bit, but it is what it is. I just hope that Steve looks at that first half and they break it down to a T because you can't just dismiss that. That wasn't just makes and misses. That was fundamental issues with our offense that they were reading. Yo, but we couldn't get the ball past half court. I mean, we were so flustered by what they were doing defensively. And on the other end, we were breaking down every single possession. We were not tight enough on defense. We have to be better. You have to stick to man. You have to stick to ball. You have to communicate. I don't think anyone fucking communicated at all. So fundamental issues we need to correct going forward. That's the only way that I knew Steve would say that shit, bro. I knew it. It's predictable at this fucking point. I hope he looks at that first half and studies the film. There's a bunch to learn from that. A bunch.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
another thing too is that, this is another example of why, if you look at what was actually happening, right? Like there is a balance to be had between offense and defense. I know some people say, you got to lean defense, lean defense, lean defense. Let me tell you something, bro. Like you can't just lean defense. You have to have,
Two-way
you know,
play. Two-way
you
play.
you got to have
Two-way
two-way
play.
play out there. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what the problem was. So again, you have to, like, sometimes, and I think what, these championship teams, right? And I think what they did a real good job at, say 2 years ago, is that they identified the head of the stakes, and in their case, the heads of the snake. If you go back and you watch the film from 2 years ago, they were a heavy isolation team, right? Today, they let the heavy isolation team get into their stuff early, and then next thing you know, they were up, and then the ball starts hopping around. And when the ball stops hopping around, we were chasing, and then they kind of threw in the towel. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I thought happened today. So that's why I say,
That's exactly what happened. But
yeah,
here's what I say. Here's what I say. Can we all agree that maybe some people disagree, but I personally believe there's a talent gap. Like they just have better players. But we
Dre,
can
there's
hold
always
on.
been a talent gap,
Yeah,
bro.
exactly,
So
exactly. So how do we make that up?
I'm
We
sorry
make
to
it
break
up.
it to you, bro. There's
Wait, no, no,
always
no, no,
been a
no.
talent gap
I know.
from from day
But
one. You
let
think
me
they didn't
explain.
have better players last year, bro? Like,
Yes, they
or
did. They
or
did.
two
So
years
this is what I'm
ago?
saying. But this is what I'm saying,
But
right?
they damn near have the same guys out there, damn
But
near, right?
here's
So
what you're
there's always
missing.
been a talent gap.
Yeah, yeah, there has always been. So how do we make that up? It's called connectivity. So if we're not connected and we're not more talented, you're gonna have what happens tonight. You're gonna get blown the fuck off the floor. So the only way we can make up that talent gap is if we're connected, which is why we beat them in 22. Because I'd argue even in 22 that they were more talented than us. But the reason we
Hmm.
beat them was because we were more connected. Connectivity is the elixir to beating talent. But you know what Boston is? They're not just talented. They're talented and connected. They're both. And so is Denver. How do you beat a team that's talented and connected? It's fucking hard. That's hard to do, man. They're talented and connected on both ends. They're not even just like a one-side merchant. They're not even just talented and connected on offense, talented and connected on defense. They're talented and connected on both ends. Not only do they have great players, but they communicate, they have positional size, they rotate, they contest, they're disciplined, they're strong. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a lot of things that it's difficult to overcome. So the only way we could have competed tonight, which is what I said last night, was we had to be at our A game. We had to play our best brand of basketball, and we did nothing close to that. And that's why we got blown out. The only way to overcome a talent gap is through connectivity. And when you're playing a team that's talented and connected, like Denver last Sunday and now Boston this Sunday, you get the results that you get because we were up by 15 against Denver. We blew it because we weren't connected in the second half. We just let go of the rope on both ends. Denver was connected on both ends. Boston tonight, literally for 48 minutes, was connected on both ends. We were not, and they're obviously more talented than us. When the ball tips off, though there's teams that are just more talented. But that's fine. That doesn't mean we can't win. It just means that we have to be extra connected against those teams. And when we have the breakdowns we had tonight, expect more fucking 50-point losses against good teams. Either you have to be connected or you're just going to drop the ball because we've had a couple losses like this year. Do you remember against the Pelicans? They came in, and again, there's other circumstances involved. I'm not going to
What were the
pretend that
other
there aren't.
circumstances involved there?
Yeah, like there were injuries.
Well,
Kaminga was
yeah, I
start.
mean, sure, right?
Kaminga
So
was starting. Kaminga was starting. Kaminga was
yeah,
still getting.
so
Yeah,
those things happen, right?
right.
Like those type of L's happen. Guys are out.
Yeah, they
You know,
happen.
they
I
kind
agree.
of throw in
I
the
agree.
towel, and a
Right,
team
right.
pours it on. You know who we are, bro. Like
But
teams
can
pour
I
it
say
on
this?
extra.
No, I agree. I agree. Let me say one more point. I think our execution, if there's one thing we got to work on for the next 20 games, we got to execute better. I don't like how we're like 2 possessions were good, then like the next 3 possessions were like shaky on both ends. We need to string together like 5, 6, 7 good possessions in a row. Because that's what I saw from Denver, not just last night against the Lakers, but I saw Denver do that against us last week. And that's what I saw from Boston tonight. They had like 5, 6, 7 good possessions in a row on both ends.
You know, Dre,
We
where
need,
I'll say this,
yeah.
um, where I'll say this, I need better identification from Steph. And when I say identification, I mean, like sometimes I feel like there's certain games, and this is, you know what I'm saying, like certain games where, you know, he doesn't do a really good job sometimes of identifying what the defense is doing with him. It's almost like they go out there with a set plan, and that's what the set plan is, right? And Boston, two things happen here.
And then he
One,
forces it. And then he forces it. Yeah.
yeah, and then he forces it, and then stupid shit happens, and then all of that stuff, bro. There was a play in the second half where I was ready to fucking pack Looney up and send him the fuck home to Milwaukee, bro. Not back to San Francisco, but to Milwaukee. Looney slipped, and they passed Looney the ball, and he misses that layup. Why the fuck does that have to happen all the time? Bro, like there was nobody under the rim. He misses the fucking layup, and it's almost like I watched him break his hip mid play. Like why does that keep on? So it's either we're gonna determine who the fuck we're gonna play out there, because if that shit just keeps on happening, like why? It's plays like that when you're down and you see a dude fucking muff a layup, like, then it's like, okay, what the fuck ever. And then Boston is just pouring it on. They weren't giving us any opportunity to get up off of the mat. And when our offense is going to create looks like that, and you have a dude out there smoking fucking layups, like, what are we really doing here? You know how many times I've seen that exact play and he smoked a layup? Why? Steve has
Yeah,
to determine what the fuck he's going to do with Looney, man, because that can't keep on happening.
I think you're 100% right, Space. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is a very clear situation of talent versus effort. And this doesn't apply to just basketball; it applies in life in general. Effort, a lot of the times, always beats talent. So yes, Boston might be more talented, but I promise you, like you said, if we put in the effort, we can beat anybody. Whoever has the most
That's
effort,
it.
whoever has the most heart, usually the one that wears the crown at the end. My thing is this: when it comes to the first half, we all know Draymond, mental mistakes. You allowed the threes, you let Jalen Brown go off for 19 points. That was already red flag number one. Number two, on the coach, I don't know if anybody caught this. As we were trying to make a comeback, we go to a four guard lineup of Curry, Paul, Keonis, GP2, and TJD. Why? What are we trying to accomplish out there? Okay, number three. And it's so funny because there's so much irony in this game. The irony is we choose not to guard the three, yet we're the team that popularized the three-pointer. That's just that's the craziest irony of this entire situation. And I remember, I think it was Caprice from either 1 or 2 games ago when we talked about this, when I said, hey, why does it always seem like we have situations where these teams just come back, we blow these leads, and the teams come back and take over? Well, I think Capri said a lot of the teams across the league have caught up to our style of play.
Yeah.
That plays a huge part with us losing a lot of these games because we're not the only kids on the block that can shoot threes now. The Celtics look like the Warriors. That's the irony. So, I listen, Steph shouldn't have played. I think we all can agree with that. I don't even know if he should play against Milwaukee this Wednesday. I don't know what's the status of his knee, but I will be honest with you. When we look at all of our losses when it comes to the elite teams, whether it's Denver and any other good teams that we faced when we lost, it was close losses. If anybody has paid attention, it was winnable games. It was like one possession games. Whether it's OKC, whether it's Denver or whoever, we lost by a close margin where even after the game you felt like, hey, this Warriors team can absolutely win the chip because even these elite teams, we're taking them all the way to the end. With a loss like this tonight, uh-uh. No, 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 no. This is the type of loss that can kill your confidence of even getting remotely close to a champion. When you take a loss like this, 51 points? Absolutely not. The Wizards can do that. The Pistons can do that. Hornets can do that. But no, not Golden State. I will not let a team with championship pedigree and DNA allow a 50.1.
Hold on. You're overreacting,
What?
bro. You're overreacting. And here's why you're overreacting. I've literally watched teams in the finals lose by like 40 or 50 points, and then they end up winning the series, right? So that's an overreaction. This is a regular season game. We literally just came off of a back to back, and I thought that we were going to lose that back to back because when I was in the live watch over on playback.tv/chasing wins, I heard people saying that, oh, in the first quarter, a bunch of people were saying, you know what, pack this one up, pack this one up, pack this one up. We're definitely going to lose, and they just stuck with it, stuck with it, stuck with it, and then they ended up winning the game by a decent margin. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes shit don't go your way, and Boston was fucking pouring it on tonight. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
So
No, Space.
I'm
I
not going to
agree with
sit
you.
here. You can't overreact, bro. This is 3 games in 4 nights, right?
It's not.
This is
Space. It's
just
not
a
a
7
regular
games
matter.
in
season
It,
thing.
10
it's
So
not.
days.
It's
when
not
you're
a matter of.
saying, so
It's
hold
not a
on,
matter of overreacting.
when you're saying that you can't lose by 50, bro, this shit happens all the time, right? So this one, like 50 was a bit much. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't play
That's
anybody after
space.
halftime, bro.
Let me ask you. When is the last time the Warriors have lost by 51?
2021 against the Raptors, and honestly, that game wasn't even in Toronto. It was actually in Tampa Bay. Lol.
Yeah, so like
The
Space, that's my
playoffs
point of
2022 versus Memphis.
listen, Space. I don't know if maybe took it the wrong way of maybe my tone. I'm not saying listen, I'm okay with losing. I'm just saying we gotta lose with grace. We gotta it goes back to that effort conversation that Dre was talking about earlier, that you were talking about earlier. We gotta have effort. So if we're gonna lose, we're gonna go out with
Hold
some
on,
pride and dignity.
hold
That's
on, hold
all I'm
on, hold
saying.
on, hold on. Lose with grace. All right, so a loss is a
What
loss
does that
because
even mean?
a loss is a loss because here's from
That
my
means playing
perspective.
all the way to the end, not
Nah,
just
bro.
giving up.
No. This is not the playoffs, right? So I am looking at the standings here, and the only thing that I'm thinking about. So while we're getting our ass beat, right? The only thing that I'm thinking about is the Lakers. By the way, are in the 10th spot. We're in the ninth spot. By the way, you need to accept cookies to see the Lakers in the standings. Um, the Mavericks just lost today, right? And Sacramento, I think they play tomorrow. And then the Suns, they're on a back to back, right? So that's literally the
The
only
Suns
thing
played
that
the
I'm looking
Thunder
at,
today, by the way.
right?
The Suns played the
Which, by the
Thunder.
way, we're gonna watch that game later on playback.tv/space gang. So though that's kind of how I'm looking at this thing. I don't care how many points they lose the damn game by because even if they lost by 15 or 20 or 25,
Bro, would you
does
rather
it
lose
change the
by
price of
50
rice,
or
bro?
lose by a
No.
buzzer beater?
Yeah. It doesn't change the price of rice, but
That
I
actually
was
does change it. That actually does.
not really, bro.
So
Like
you
like
will lose by
it
I
a
counts in
buzzer
the loss
beater instead
column,
of
bro. It
losing by
really doesn't
I
50?
matter.
think I think honestly what Alexander is saying is that Golden State has a standard. You know what I mean?
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah, like Golden State has standards. Like this team is a dynasty. They've been running the league for the past 8 years, right? So it's like when you lose like that by 50, that's a
But this,
problem. That's
it's
what he's
reality.
saying, I
Sometimes you
think.
just get caught. These young teams are
Sometimes you
good.
just get
Like,
caught, bro. Like
Sometimes you
yeah,
just lay an
okay.
egg.
But
Right.
here's
It's a
the thing.
long
yeah, sometimes you
season,
just
bro.
get
Here's the
caught.
thing, right?
Like
Didn't the hold on? Like, I'm just gonna look at it this way, right? Didn't the Lakers Didn't they play the Sixers like a few months ago? They lost by like 50, right, or 40 or
Yeah,
50.
Yeah.
And then didn't they just go into Boston and beat the same Celtics team
Yes.
without
Without the
Braun
two
and
best
AD, by the
players,
way?
yeah.
So hold on. So they lost to the Sixers on the road by like 50 with Braun and AD, and then they came to the road against Boston in Boston without Braun and AD, and they beat the
exactly.
Celtics team. So my point is this: I don't want to look at this game as one game, or I don't want to look at this game as like a broad brush representation of what the season's going to be. It's not. We're fine, but
I never said that, and I never
no, I
said
know,
that.
I know. But what I'm saying is just ultimately, it's not even about that. What it is it's about we have fundamental issues that if we want to actually win a chip, we got to correct them. Like this, and this game is just an extension of that. So I just saw some things tonight that I feel like against the elite teams, there's a reason that we're not. You're like at the end of the day, Boston's a 1 seed, Denver's a 1 seed. We played them on back-to-back Sundays. We were relatively healthy in both games. I know Wiggins missed tonight, but for the most part, I think the matchups were pretty even, and we got fucking beat like by both and by convincing fashion. There has to be something to take away from that and say, look, what can we use? What can we use from these two games take with us. And so going forward in the next 20 games, build on that and correct that. So if we do face these elite teams in the playoffs, we don't get caught and beat down the way we did in both. Bro, the execution that Denver pulled off last bro, that shit was you almost had to like sit back and be like, "Yo, this is impressive." They just like every possession was flawless. Like Jokic made the right decision, Gordon defending well, rotating, executing, hitting shots. Same thing with Boston tonight. Like you just got to give it up. Sometimes these teams they're just better. So
But
to close that gap, you have to find a way to be more connected. We cannot
but
we
yeah.
lost our connectedness last Sunday against Denver. We fell the fuck apart in the second half, and tonight we fell apart after
Damn.
like 4 minutes in the or 6 minutes into the game. Half a quarter, we fell apart against the number 1 seed. And Boston does this, by the way. Did you know this is their third 50-point win of the season? Third 50-point win.
But
They
I
So
really have
think
no
Dre, I
excuse not
think
to
what
win the
Shadow, but I
championship.
think Shadow makes a great point that this was effort. You know what I mean against Boston, like because like Urkel was saying, like again, they were talented 2 years ago, and we beat them. Like yes, there's some flaws, but by the end of the day, I think the reason why we lost, like the main reason why we lost, was effort. You
That's my
saw it in
point.
the beginning of the game. You saw it. You
And
So
saw
hold
and
on,
that
and
it
hold on, hold
wasn't
in
on,
order,
hold on.
motivated.
When
that's
they
my
were
point.
down two, when they were down two in like minute four, did you think they weren't playing with effort?
I think they were, but they just gave it up.
When
They
the
What?
clearly
listen,
gave it up. They gave up.
when the score was 21-21, and then within 2.5 minutes it was 35-21. I think they went on like a 15-0 run. I said, okay, it looks like the effort, because even with that Looney miss, that layup that you're talking about, all of that plays into a mix. The Celtics ended the half with only one turnover. So it felt like the effort again. That is the key situation of this entire game is effort
Let me
versus
tell you
talent.
another way how they want to play defense, right? The Warriors want to play defense and they don't want to overhelp. Okay. Um, I know people kill Andrew Wiggins. I know you say all types of stuff about him, but you see when you can put him up top on one of those guys, whether it be Tatum and Brown, and you don't have to overhelp, and then next thing like you have that extra foot or two to close out on that shooter. That is what a point of attack guy provides. You know what I'm saying? So tonight, how much overhelping did we see tonight, and how many open threes outside of the ones that Jalen Brown hit? There was a ton of overhelping. So we need to shore up how we're gonna play that drive and kick, because that's what they do, bro. They
Right.
drive and kick, they collapse
And
your defense, and they're good both ways. Give those guys some credit,
you guys,
Jalen and Brown and Tatum, they do a really good job of collapsing your defense, and they're better now than they were 2 years ago, or at least they're more
you
experienced.
guys have to remember. You also have to remember too. Like I said a little bit ago, Urkel. I'm not panicking at all. Do I still think this team can win a championship? Absolutely, I do. This was a terrible loss, obviously, but at the same time, the year we won the championship, there were two games, if y'all remember. There was one we had against the Brooklyn Nets where we lost by 40. I mean, or not, we were down by 40 at half against the Nets in 22, and then back in December that year. And then in January of that year, also, we were down by 39 to the Bucks at half as well. And then went on to get blown out in both of those games. Like, these are, yes, there are things like Dre was saying, there's stuff that has to be taken away from this loss, including the loss to Denver as well. um, for me personally, I think especially on the defensive end, on how we are playing, not only just these teams but also figuring out when we have certain groupings together on the floor, how are we going to play them defensively.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you have to, Steph was not
Hold
clearly
on, hold on,
right,
hold on, hold
and
on.
he was.
Let me ask y'all a question because somebody just texted me a clear scenario of what we were talking about. Remember when Memphis in that game 5 they ran us off the court
They blew us
by
out.
50?
ran blew
Remember
blew
that
us
game?
out,
That's what
Tyus
I just said.
Jones.
Yeah.
blew us
Bro,
out.
you got Steph and
Tyus
Draymond
Jones looked
literally
like the
dancing
second
with the
coming.
crowd in the
Hey,
fourth quarter, man. That was how
do you
bad that
remember?
blowout was.
Hold on. And we got blown out, right, bro? Like, how much were we down by, and how much were people trying to clown us on the timeline? And people are like, "Oh, y'all are about to blow a 3-1 lead," right? Like, remember that happening?
You know what,
Yep.
Urkel?
By the way,
That's
we were up
why
three
I
one.
And
would.
Just saying. I mean, so and that's a playoff game. That's a playoff series.
Guys, I'm
You know
just
what,
saying the
Urkel?
moral
That's
of the
why I
story
wasn't
is
so.
it's we have to tip our hat to Boston. They played tremendous. It was an amazing game. The moral of the story is we didn't give the effort on the defensive end. I get that there's no second option. Okay, granted, I'll give you that. But when Kaminga's at his best is when he's going downhill and when he's in transition. If you don't make stops, there's no transition. So Kaminga gets null and void.
exactly.
Number
I would
two,
like to say,
the 3 point difference, the battle. We hit 7. They hit 25. Do you know what kind of differential that is, man? Now multiply that by 3.
So, dude,
That is a plus
yep.
51.
Okay, and we lost by 52. So the moral of the story is, and and anybody could say, oh, but they're gonna hit threes and blah blah. The average, there's mean, medium, and mode. The average that the Golden State Warriors hit is 16. The average that the Boston Celtics hit is 16. So what are we even talking about? The moral of the story is we have to play our game. We didn't play our game today. Nothing today was our game. Nothing
Nothing from tip.
from
Nothing was
tip.
our game.
and
I'm
that's
So at
glad
the
why,
you
end of
said
It
the
that,
day,
Steph.
that's why I
happens,
we have
was
and
to
it
not.
regroup,
happens. Like,
I
just
was
come back
not.
with the
sometimes
Bucks,
shit
and
just
keep it
doesn't
moving.
go your way. It happens.
Sometimes you get your ass
And
whooped,
that's
and
why
and
I
and tonight
wasn't
we got
really
our ass
angry.
whooped.
I'm like, tonight there was just some bullshit.
Bro, listen to me, man.
I won't say.
Listen,
First
listen,
of all,
listen,
I'd like
listen,
to say
listen.
on the Chase and Wins. Chase and Wins,
Listen,
they
hold on
did.
one
Okay.
second. I will say this, right? Like, a lot of people are gonna clown, right? We lost and all of this stuff and all it, right? So I don't know. I just saw 1,200 on the counter right now. You see, like when
A
we
three
win.
one road trip, bro. Like, come on,
You see, like when we
3-1
win,
road trip.
there is, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, like six or it goes between like 500 and 700 people. You know what I'm saying? But you see when
It's
we
literally
lose,
the
there's like
funniest
1,200 on the
phenomenon.
board. Right? So here's what I'm saying. People are gonna clown and do all of this, right? But I will say this: make sure you bookmark because remember
Yeah.
when dudes were creating spaces and they had Steph with the Reggie thing and they were choking and all of that.
Yep.
You don't see none of them
Yep.
motherfuckers anymore, bro. Like matter of fact, all of those people used to run spaces and do all of that. You don't see those people anymore. You don't see none of them people
I'm
anymore.
just telling you now. I'm telling you guys right now, a locked in, a locked in when we're playing our game, and it's a locked in Draymond and a locked in Steph, and we have the ancillary pieces that we have right now around us. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I'm not going against or picking against this team, even against Boston in a 7 game
And
series.
that's what I'm saying.
I
Tonight,
with conviction and confidence, I would be so ready to take them on in a series and be like, bring it, because we're gonna win that game and
That's
we're
what
gonna win that
I
series in
feel the same
6.
way.
Listen, let me
I
tell you
feel the same
something.
way.
Boston. This game was coming, by the way, because Boston, since the finals, so since game 4 of the finals. We beat them in that game 4. We beat them in that game 5. And we had a run, like a 25-0 run in that game. And we never looked back. So that's 3 straight games. 2023, December that year, we beat them. I don't even think Andrew Wiggins was playing. I think Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Steph was starting. Ran them off the court. Then we go to Boston last year, or yeah, last year again in Boston, and we blew that game. Literally blew that game because Jordan made some stupid mistake at the end, right? And then a few weeks ago, a few months, or what was it, like a month ago, 2 months ago, we beat them in overtime, right? So we've beaten them a bunch of times. You know what I'm saying? So tonight they were like, you know what? Fuck it. We are just gonna lay it on thick tonight. And once they started to go up, that game, it was super it was super intense tonight. Pause. Right? So that's that's all that happens, man. That's all that happens.
And like I don't want anybody to get it twisted. This is not I'm not making an excuse. An ass whooping is an ass whooping. We got beat outright, fair and square. We got whooped. But at the end of the day, when we have all of our players there, I'm not taking nobody over this team. And until I see the Celtics actually do and accomplish some shit, I ain't believing in this team.
Can I get some
And
thoughts off?
Go
that's
ahead,
fine.
Jim.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
I
Jim.
think I think there were a lot of circumstances. I got a headache, but there were a lot of circumstances in this game. Number one, Steph Curry was doubtful from the beginning. Number two, I don't like Klay Thompson in the starting lineup anymore, especially against legit serious teams. I didn't like how he played in the starting lineup even last game. He came through in the fourth quarter enough where he got like 5 or 14 from the field or something like that. But overall, I just don't like what I see from him in the starting lineup anymore. And then on top of that, you're missing Wiggins, who is a critical part, to putting a stop to the Celtics in some way. Like he's the guy that has to be on Tatum, right? And then obviously they came out with a weird ass plan where you're allowing Jaylen Brown to get off practice shots, just wide open. Okay, so if you have a game plan in which the Celtics are swinging the ball around and at the end of it, Jaylen Brown is the one with the ball and your players are rotating and you can't get there and you can live with him taking an open three, okay, fine. It's another thing that the defender is in his vicinity and can actually contest and chooses not to. That's fucking stupid. Why the
Wild
fuck would you do that?
strategy.
Horrible. Horrible by Draymond. Just late reaction. Just, I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't think that was the game plan. There was some level of game planning. Like if he ends up with an open shot, okay, we live with it. But to voluntarily decide not to guard him when you could have and just leave him is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous, like, dumb game plan. Jaylen Brown has 19 points after the
Jim,
first
what do you
five,
what do you
six
think
minutes of the game. What the fuck?
what
Like,
do you think that
make
was
a
about,
fucking
Jim?
adjustment, bro. What are you doing? So from that point, the Celtics have so much fucking momentum. You realize, like, the rest of their guys can score and do all this other shit, right? And you just gave Jaylen Brown 19 free fucking points. So then they have this crazy momentum, and the Warriors can do nothing to stop it. And at the same time, they're like fucking triple teaming Steph Curry, so he's getting no opportunity. Like, bro, if he's getting triple teamed, Draymond, don't stand at the fucking top of the arc. Cut. Give him a valve. He's got 3 people in front of you. I mean, he's got 3 people in front of him. You have to make yourself available for the pass. And you're not even doing that. So from there, there's just no momentum left, and yeah, I'm glad like Draymond and Steph they didn't play in the second half because shit was over. Shit was over by early second quarter. Literally, they're down by like 30 fucking points. Shit is over.
Jim,
Now, having said that,
Jim, could I ask you something?
yeah, hold on.
In regard, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, having said that, like big picture, yeah, it's a loss. It's a bad loss, but it's just one loss. That's why winning that back to back, the Raptors and the Knicks, that was so important. You got to take care of the mediocre teams, right? And they did that. And because they did that, ultimately they're what 13-4 in their last 17 games. It's fine, right? They need Wiggins back. Let's there's no ifs and or buts about that. Like they need him. And the Warriors, they need to be able to, against some of these dominant teams, they have to be correct. from a defensive standpoint, from a size standpoint, stuff like this. They keep, I know they've been going with the Draymond Kuminga thing, but I just feel like in the playoffs, especially, you start facing some of these dominant teams, really good teams. I just don't think that combination is good enough. So that's a question that they have another 20 some games to figure out what to do. And I feel like Steve has been figuring those things out. And somebody, I think Alexander was complaining about the 4 guard lineup. Steve has been doing that regardless of what situation, like the whole season, right? So it's nothing new at this point. The key is for him to at least put out, a group of players that can actually defend, within the context of those guards. When you have Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, that 3 guard combination, it's a disaster. And then you put GP2 on the floor, and it's just not enough. What are you doing? You're playing Klay at the 4, right? So, and then they had Looney playing alongside them, but he made a change where, like you said, GP2 and Lester Quinones is coming in together. I actually quite like that duo. I think they cause havoc under most circumstances, and it does a better job of protecting the other 2 guys that are on the floor, along with Trace. So now you have, a POA and GP2, and Quinones is a pretty good secondary defender out in the wing. And they're tenacious rebounders. And then you have Trace protecting the paint. So I like that much better than the other 4 guard bullshit that they do. And these are some of the nuances that he's adjusted and updated. It's because of the guys that are in the rotation. I really want to see Guy Santos in there just to give them more size, to be honest with you. But he's not going that route. So that just is what it is. But yeah, I'm not overly down by this game. I thought that Draymond fucked up the game from the get-go, and it just piled down from there. And when the other team has that much momentum and that much offensive firepower, and you got Steph Curry kind of questionable, and then he's being double teamed, triple teamed, and also he's just off. Shit, man, it's just a rough game, but it's okay. There's still a
So,
long way to get. I
so
still feel good
Jim,
about where the Warriors are
7th game in
overall.
11 days too.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
Jim, in regards to the what you were just saying about Draymond, do you feel like, because obviously Draymond's one of the smartest like basketball players, obviously we all know this, but do you think this was more like he was just being that damn arrogant to just like, I'm choosing
Did
100%.
you see what
not
he
to
said today?
guard Jalen Brown?
Wait, did you
What did
see
he
what he
No,
say?
said
what did he
today?
say?
So they were
What did he
asking
say?
Draymond. This was from Slater, by the way. They were asking him about that strategy to like just literally just sag off of Jalen Brown and just give him that much airspace. And he was saying, "I thought it was fun to try. I was actually all for it, and it didn't work. Oh well."
That's insane.
Fun to
So,
try.
so that tells you
That
he was a
is
straight up pro.
ridiculous.
Did he say it was fun to
He's
try?
unserious, bro.
That's
He was.
insane.
Yo.
Brown is
He's
a
an
straight up
I
pro,
all-star,
just saw it. I
averaging
just saw it on my
25 points per
timeline.
game.
That's
That's
dumb. Hold
insane.
yourself
Wait,
It was
accountable.
fun
Say
to
you made a
try.
mistake. You shouldn't have
27 for
done
the
it,
last 4.
Urkel,
and you learn from it.
When
What kind of
we
shit is
when we go
that?
to spaces, when we go to playback, can you play what he says,
Oh
bro?
my god.
Hey,
Hey,
yo, I
hey,
need
real
It's
quick,
in
When
the
we go to
jumbo right
playback, I
now.
need
It's
you
in the
to
jumbo.
hey,
real
yo,
quick,
Jim,
real
Jim,
quick.
I need y'all chill,
Jim,
bro. This was a
Jim, I
conversation from
remember,
conversation.
I remember Space and Jim. Y'all were kind of have a back and forth with when it comes to the big man situation. When it comes to Draymond and Kaminga, do you feel TJD and Kaminga will probably be a better pairing than Draymond and Kaminga? Or
No, I think Draymond and Trace is a better pairing for defense overall. That's their best combination that they can go with in terms of rebounding, size, help, defense, all that stuff. Along with he's better than Kevon Looney, right? Trace in terms of what he can provide offensively. So that's the difference ultimately. Because Kevon is such a just tends to be a zero, and you pair him next to Draymond, and you can play defense, better defense, but you're just lacking so much on offense that it just kind of you know what I mean. But so that's why when you do Draymond and Trace together, it's just better. So
okay, yeah, I can see that.
yeah, yeah.
Yo,
There are
Shadow,
imperfections whether you do
Shadow, what
Trace
did
and
I tell
Kuminga
you?
or Draymond and Kuminga defensively.
Yo, Keith, get on stage, Keith.
Yo, Shadow. Yeah.
That boy's sleepy, dog.
Yeah, what's poppin'?
What'd you say, Matt? Sleepy?
Hold on. I ain't gonna allow Laker fans to come in here and try to troll when y'all are literally in the 10th spot, bro. Relax. Sit y'all asses down there. I have to accept
No, but they
cookies.
didn't. They they
I
they
have to
they, they
accept
had their
cookies to
time.
see
They
y'all,
got
bro.
therapy. They didn't step up.
Y'all didn't step up for
bro.
Laker therapy, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Bro,
I had
I'm
to
telling
accept
you.
cookies to see y'all. I don't want to
But
accept cookies. I don't want people
every time the
monitoring
Warriors
me.
lose, like
Why do I
600
have to accept cookies? Why do I
600
have to
extra
accept
people.
cookies? Why do I have to accept cookies to see y'all in the standings? Relax. Sit your asses down there and let's do this. Give the host account a follow and let's go over to playback.tv/Space Gang and let's do hour 2 of playback
Yes,
over
sir.
on Space Gang. So see y'all over there.
Fuck the Lakers.